ministries who were invited here. I know higher education, primary and secondary education, who are also here with us, as well as some NGOs who are here with us, and of course to recognize the staff members who are here. I've been so inspired by what has been said here, and most of you have taken something out of what I was going to say, so I'll do a lot of my own speaking, because it is, we can take the discussion to a different level. First, I just want to say it's a very great pleasure that we are here at this very important occasion to observe where we observe today the ongoing international drive to expand the skills training initiatives across the world for the benefit of young people. The 2023 theme, as we have been told, for World Skills Day is running under the theme Skilling Teachers, Trainers and Youth for a Transformative Future. Skilling Teachers, Trainers and Youth for a Transformative Future. We want to appreciate the strategic importance of equipping young people with skills for employment, for decent work, as well as for entrepreneurship. And at the same time, in line with the theme, acknowledge the role of teachers and trainers and other key stakeholders, the role that they are playing in imparting skills for youth in transition into the labor market and into actively engaging in their communities, in industry, and in the economy. Our call is to ensure that all young people are able to acquire relevant skills for employment or entrepreneurship, or for entrepreneurship as well as for industry growth. This whole thrust is in sync with the tenets outlined in the National Development Strategy, which also places importance on human capital development as we strive towards an upper middle income economy by 2030. I think the comments have been made very clearly. We have a skills gap, a very big skills gap. We also have an economy to grow and targets to reach by 2030. And that will not happen without having the appropriate, adequate skills within our young people to achieve the level of development we are seeking by 2030. The Ministry of Youth, Sport, Arts and Recreation recognizes the importance of strengthening, promoting and guiding vocational skills training and entrepreneurial development among young people and communities, thereby fulfilling the principles of heritage-based education 5.0. Now, within the ministry, and this, as you would recognize, there are several different ministries playing a role in skills development. And here I'm talking only about ours, but in the bigger picture, which will come to, we look at it, collectively, we are all trying to achieve TVET in our different portfolios. Within this ministry, we focus on market-driven and community-based technical vocational skills and entrepreneurial development, which is outlined mainly by a program we call Training for Enterprise. We recognize that at the very base for the basic skills, the artisanal skills that are required for industry. Industry development does not only happen at higher levels of graduates of universities. The fundamentals of industry begin with basics and artisanal. And that is where, for a ministry, our mandate is to make sure that we can promote the development of those skills. But we have combined them, we've combined them with entrepreneurship, so that if you acquire the skill, artisanal skill in any area, you are also at the same time competent to be an entrepreneur, to be able to support yourself and gain some income, or to become employed by smaller industry or a bigger industry. So we have coupled, we call it Training for Enterprise, TFE. It's a model that we have been working on deliberately by the ministry. This training closes the skills gap by equipping young men and women in the informal sector in particular, who are in the rural and urban economy, with skills to improve their employability self-employment, and productive, decent work. We have 43 vocational training centers which have a mandate to develop these skills, but we also work together with very many institutions and organizations that are also providing vocational training skills at that level. Sadly, as we have noted, most of the skills that are being offered are not accredited. So you can take a course in fashion and design and learn to make clothing and whatnot, but that course is not accredited by a set standard. And that is this is what is dropping our ability to join the competitive market. You can get training, even some of our basic skills in agriculture. We are doing a lot of training in agriculture, but the absence, what is missing is accreditation. And we can say the same of metal work, people who are welding, people who are creating furniture, carpentry and the like, people who are fixing vehicles or servicing vehicles. Many of us know of the implications of having your motor vehicle or serviced or buying furniture which within 6 months, is not as stable as you would expect it to be. The reason that is not happening, the reason that is happening is because we are not accrediting. And I want you to know that the government has taken 2 steps. First of all, to develop a TVET policy. TVET means Technical Vocational Education and Training Policy, which has now made it a mandate for all training in all lines of industry to set their standards along a national qualifications framework, which I'm sure you are all familiar with. Now that the policy has been approved 2 months ago by Cabinet, that is what we are now calling on. We are happy you are here, that all industry now need to be sure and work with institutions, training providers, polytechnics, vocational centers to create the standards that are required, even from the most basic right up to the higher standards. Fortunately, at graduate levels, those standards are more or less set up. But it's the lower levels that are not set up. And that is crippling our economy. It's crippling our competitiveness. We keep seeing children wearing sons of them wearing uniforms in school. You all know that this is not a well-made, but it's not well-made or cut because the standards were not put in place. And we want to get to a point where Zimbabwe is known as a country where whoever you go to in the informal, particular and formal sector will produce products of quality and standards. And it's through this formalization that will happen. So that is where we have the policy. And to take it further, this ministry has embarked on doing exactly that, accreditation. So far, there are many courses to do, many. So far, we have developed 23 training models that have been accredited and approved by the National Qualification Framework. But it's going to take all the different fraternities of industries working with this ministry and the players to then develop the actual standards for each particular industry. So we have done 23. Thanks to the combination of government funds as well as the Africa Development Bank. But this is a very important investment that we need to make if we want to reach where we need to reach. So we have done 23. We have plans for another 56. My estimation, you can speak to the experts, we probably need about, well over 2,000, 3,000, maybe more in every line of industry. Even in IT, we could talk a lot about that. It's the certification that will set the standard. So those are 2 things. The policy is there, and the ministry is working on it. We are doing it not alone. We are working with the different fraternities for those that we have worked on, but led by the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, because the policy sits in that ministry. They are the ministry that oversees and superintends quality and standards in training. So they oversee, we approach them, and we are working very well, but it's a massive job to be done, to be able to break down and certify our standards. Then, and we also, the intention is not just to do it for Zimbabwe, it's for us to become competitive, to have our skills. You say you've trained in hotel catering, or you've trained in hotel hospitality. Like, you know, many of our young people go for training, whether at our vocational training centers or training courses offered. We want that when they take that certificate, as you go to Botswana, Malawi, South Africa, that certificate is recognized in their systems. So that for now, we are fortunate that our systems are respected. So if you come from Zimbabwe, you say you've done a course in hospitality, many hotels and hospitality players will take you because they acknowledge that there is some recognizable level of standard, but it is not accredited by the Southern Africa accreditation system and the international systems, which is where we need to go. So we have work to do there, but that is what we are. We work with SADC. We also are known to the international community. We also want to say that, as I mentioned to you, that our training is not only internally focused to government institutions. We have many private players. Private in the sense of just basic private institutions who are recognized by the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education. Some are churches. Some are, just community groups or groups that come together and decide we need to train young people. There's a need and a gap in this area. So the players in the sector are very many. Some are private companies who will, on recognizing the shortage on their own, offer their own training, which may not be accredited, but they offer because they see the gap. They see the gap either from our colleges and polytechnics, or even from the young person who has done an O-level or an A-level, who just needs now to be upskilled to be able to work in those industries. So many private companies have got training programs at different levels for them. So we embrace all, and as a ministry superintending vocational skills training, our work is, we work very closely with them in accreditation. I also want to just in final acknowledge the comments that have come from the various presenters here about the gap. So I hope we can all see there's a big gap, and I hope media, we need to go more, make more known where the work needs to be done. It will attract more people to also offer courses and to work with government to get them accredited. That gap is the most revealing weakness that we have. And then the high rate of people, of young people in our prisons. And many of them, most of them, are not skilled. So you cannot separate the high levels of crime, as well as with the high levels of unskilled young people. Then the whole question of drug and substance abuse that has been raised here, as government, as you know, is now a national task force that has been set up for drug and substance abuse, but we will not reach as a country our goal of becoming a middle income economy by 2030 if we don't attack the problems of drug and substance abuse head on. If anything, of all the investments we are making in higher and tertiary education, in innovation and science and the like, for all those investments, if we do not address the matters of the problem of drug and substance abuse, all of those efforts will collapse on themselves, because we will not have the manpower to be able to drive the economy, neither will we have the young people to be with us to build the economy. So drug and substance abuse is all of our problem, and it's a wide range. It's everything from the protection of those who could be involved in drug and substance abuse to working on law enforcement, very important area, prevention of the entry or the trafficking of drugs within our borders, giving young people the options of skilling themselves so that they're not idle and can pursue productive roles in their communities and in their societies, preventing young people from by providing skills. So the skilling is a very important trajectory and direction for prevention into drugs, substance abuse. So we are glad that you have mentioned it. I've talked about accreditation. I won't say more on that. I've talked about the policy. And finally, very important, is the need for more communication and information in the public about one, the importance of skilling of young people and the role they play in industry and growth. We have been very good as a country in other areas of education that are not as technical oriented. We've excelled in that. So the message needs to be out there more to help direct those who are guiding the young people in making choices about what they can do with their lives. That there's a whole big area of working in the medical field. You can start off as a nursing aide, or there are many at the low level before you consider even going up. In transport, there are many skills that you can enter into. In engineering, there's a whole lot of areas. There needs to be more publicity and more information about those as areas to assist directing young people to those areas of training. And the message also that you can start small. You don't need to start with a degree. You start even with an informal training and move into certificated training and move up. And within the policy for Tibet is a policy that says lifelong learning must be available. Lifelong learning. Recognition of prior learning. If you already have something you know and you want, there must be a system to recognize that this young person already knows these things. Let's make sure we grade them and then add on to those. And these principles are built into the technical vocational education policy so that there's a pathway you can follow and graduate to where a young person can be. So the media, when I say media, but it's also information and communication, that is the responsibility of all of us, of business, youth organizations like yourselves, of government. It's everybody's business to take the message out there about how we can create the opportunities for young people to be productive in society as well as produce wealth for our economy. I think with those few words I want to thank you.